Hey everyone, it's DrRic, and this is the first day of training for Colorado. If you're interested, you should be going, or maybe you went to the January 11th announcement. This is Swallow Cliff Stairs. So the biggest problem I had when I took on 14,000 feet was I didn't train properly, and you have to have a couple elements of fitness under your belt before going up to that altitude. Mostly because, I mean, it's 3,600 feet of elevation gain. You start at about 11,500, then you end up at 14,200. So 3,600 feet in about 4 hours. That's a challenge. It comes out to about 850 feet per hour. And this is Swallow Cliff Stairs. And Swallow Cliff Stairs is like 130 steps. So I'd have to do this to make sure I have that kind of training. And then this is only up and down. You have to go up at least 8 times to make 800 plus feet. The problem, I mean, it doesn't come out exactly, but the problem is you gotta go back down to before you go up, and that's kind of cheating. But the best around here is probably this, or some kind of if you live in Chicago and you attempt the safety stairs or the fire well, you can probably find a building that has a connection close to 100 to 300 feet. So this is what I would do. I'd come out at least once a week to do the stairs, try to get at least 8 laps in. So if you start from down in the concession stand, go up, turn around, and go back down. So hopefully you can see that. The pointing was off. That would be a lap. If you do a lap times 8, I think that's fair enough. So we're going to try to do some steps now, and I think eventually you'll have to try to get some resistance in. So using walking sticks would be important. These are collapsible. You just have to get used to applying the sticks, especially as you get towards the last part of your training. You can use upper body, and you don't want to necessarily develop too much upper body strength, because then you have to carry muscle onto the mountain, and that utilizes more oxygen. Your VO2 max here would probably be great to improve upon, but too much muscle on an incline will be extra weight that you have to carry. So I would say I'm going to slim down before August. However, endurance will be good. There's a couple of supplements I'll probably talk about, as far as ginkgo, turmeric, maybe an anti-inflammatory, magnesium, and a couple other things. But let's start the training. On this side, the east steps at Swallow Cliff, there's 125 steps going up. I don't know what it is on the other side, but I would always, no matter what the temperature, check out the temperature for the day. I would start out cold, and I had a scarf and a couple other things on, but now my 6th lap, and I'm heating up pretty fast. So you don't want to be too overheated during your ascent to 14,000. So you have to learn to vent. And here, at least in the wintertime, it's 41 degrees, but core body temperature is increasing. So I'm gonna have to take off my jacket. Just learn that, and then learn to hydrate. Biggest thing you have to get used to is perceived exertion, the shortness of breath, and the fast heart rate. It's a little unnerving, but once you get used to it, it'll be easy when you're on the mountain. Hey, shoe wear is really important, at least to break in before you get to an incline, because if you're using ankle tight or ankle high, it'll shift a little bit. Going up, you'll grab a lot and have to work the high laces to make sure you don't have any hot spots where the rubber or the ankle brace is wearing away on your ankle. Then going down, usually there's a little bit of a slip forward, so you want to make sure it's not too tight, especially after 3 hours, 4 hours, because feet swell up. Might be jamming your toes in the front. Painful if you haven't kept your nails cut short, or if you have a history of ingrown toenails. So break in the shoes. Also, sometimes switching out an orthotic from a podiatrist would be better than the generically made. Even though Dr. Scholl's has that station where you stand, you can somewhat get a personally designed insert, but I think the ones that the podiatrists make are better if covered by insurance. I like Dr. Gary Kazmer. I'll put a link down below on mine that he made for me. Where power would be helpful if you do any strength training or burst training. It's the top of the mountain, there's more switchbacks because the elevation is steeper. So with switchbacks, meaning going back and forth like a zigzag, I think that it usually hallmarks when you do one leg of that, it'll hallmark a little bit of a break, because most of the switchbacks, I think from the last time, are about 50 feet in elevation. And if you're used to training Chicago flat, that usually is enough to at least collect your breath, slow down the heart rate, and then progress on to the next switchback. So power is important. But if you're going to start out and the stairs are too much, just get out and do jogging. Cardiovascular fitness can be in swimming, running, or cycling. If you like an erg, then you can do rowing. But hydration, temperature regulation, macronutrient and fuel replenishing, we'll talk about later. Now it's just a matter of getting used to shortness of breath, fast heart rate, because that usually alludes to higher core body temperature, and you don't want to be sweaty up top. Leads to dehydration. A couple of things with hydration is, number one, it keeps your blood volume high, so the red blood cells can get to the muscles fast enough, because you're going to be sucking in less oxygen than usual at altitude. If we train here at what I think we're at 1,800 feet, and then you go straight up to 13,000, which no, 11,000 is where my hike's going to begin at the base camp for Grays and Tories. If you go even at a slow pace, even halfway into not 3,600 but 1,700, you'll still be gasping for air, because what little you have of oxygen will have to be maximized by the red blood cells. So keeping the volume up is really good. That's hydration. Two, dehydration is very subtle. So when we're working, it's a pain in the butt to go pee. So many of us will get to the point of tolerance to dehydration. Can't have that when you're hiking. So I think breaking every 15 minutes might be a lot, and that sounds like it's frequent, but as you get up to higher elevation, I think it's important to take a regimented break. Fluids, at least every half hour, but I think 15 is better. Third thing, lactic acid is going to build up, and I think if you are in a contracted state, it'll be harder for the muscles to push the lactic acid back to the liver for core recycle and regenerative energy packs. So hydration is important. And then last, when you have more blood volume, it helps diffuse the heat from internal to from your core to periphery. Makes it a little easier. Had a guy who did the marathon, didn't keep up with his fluid hydration, collapsed at 26 miles, and he woke up in an ICU. Kidney failure, liver failure, too hot and too dehydrated. So really important to get used to fluids. One of the other things is, no matter how good you are as a runner and how good you are as a climber, or you're into strength training, high intensity interval training, CrossFit, whatever it is, your body weight's going to be off because of the backpack. So that's my backpack. I have a small one on today because it's my first day, but as we get up into closer to August, you're going to have to carry at least 20 pounds. I think 20 pounds, especially the fluid, because 2 gallons of water is about 16 pounds. So you'll have to take that up to the mountain and save some on the way down to prevent that dehydration thing. So you'll have to get used to carrying, and sometimes if your backpack is off center, the kind that really hang down low, don't have a shoulder strap or adjustable straps, could be a pain. So you'll usually have to arch forward if you're not used to it, if it's not built properly. I like the ones where you can adjust pec strap, that thing, shoulder straps adjustable, and then a waist strap. So then you can shift around the contents as you get to the top of 14,000. You'll probably be drinking and peeing most of your fluid away, and that'll be weight. So that's kind of cool at top. Again, we still have to save some for the ride down. Kind of depends on the weather conditions then too, but in August in the morning it's probably going to be okay. If we summit before lunch, better, because I think the clouds roll in about 3 p.m. So that's the other thing, is get your shoes adjusted for and broken in, and then get used to the pack and how to adjust every once in a while. You can even adjust, if it's not adjustable, you can adjust the contents in the pack to be a little bit better distributed. So that is, these used to be toboggan here. It's kind of cool because you have laps that you can do. So I think there's other people that are training for Ireland. They just hit the top already. I once saw a firefighter in full gear here with his oxygen tank. I thought, holy mackerel. So I might try, as it gets closer to August 28th, working on their canopies you can get, you can sleep in to simulate high altitude, just so that you get acclimatized faster. Even if you go to altitude 3 or 4 days beforehand, I'm not sure that'll give you enough time to acclimatize. That's when the red blood cells know to let go of oxygen real fast. Otherwise, the chances for high altitude sickness are high. See my video on that. So getting used to the placement, hand placement on these sticks is important, as you can choke it up a little bit when you're going up because the distance is shorter, and then use it as a sighted cane like when you're going down, because your distance is longer. It's supposed to be support, but if you're not used to depending on arm strength and cane placement, walking sticks, you might just wind up carrying them, and that's not helpful. But as you get to high elevation, upper body can be worked out and give you strength, because there's glycogen that's being stored in muscle, and you can save that for the last pump at the top. Hey, another thing you might want to try to finish off this talk is when you're finished with your laps. I think I did 10. Yeah, 10, so that's 10 times 125. That's pretty decent. Although, you know, you're taking a break. It's not the same because there's a lot more oxygen here, and you have a break on the approach going down. So it's still, if you can get, this is my first day of training, so if you can get to the point where you tolerate this kind of walking, better for you. So the final thing would be just to test out your shoes and walking stick use. At least if you're at Swallow Cliff Stairs, you can then finish off with trail walking. Because steps is one thing and you have to lift your feet up, but honestly, when you're walking a trail, you don't lift your feet up that much, at least in the flatter portions. As you get to 13,000 feet, then every step will be an elevation. So this is backside Swallow Cliff. Seems kind of steep, but it isn't really. Now I could go down where the waterfall falls, go down that way, or this is the way I usually take. So let's see. You guys can witness a fall here. So these roots are tough, because if you're really tired, you're going to drag your feet, and the matter of half an inch clearance, especially with boots, can make you trip up. You don't want that. I took somebody to Zion. We went to the subway. She was carrying her sticks. We crossed a brook, and she went face down. Luckily, our hiker did not break a tooth, because we were in the deep wilderness. So it's just a matter of getting used to using these things. So if you see what I'm doing, I'm using this as a walking stick, almost like a sighted cane, and I'm trying to get a third extremity to help me when one foot is in the air. So place, step, step, place again, find footing, step down, place, and then step. So that is how I would negotiate. And the other thing too is that it's dry last couple days. There's snow on the ground, hasn't melted off, so the ground is hard. So this is the back of Swallow Cliff, which is pretty cool. And that's pretty much it. That's the beauty of walking or training for at least what I'm going to do as far Colorado. We can actually attack that again too, just to get used to you can attack all these hills. That one over there, they're short. Past that brook, another one. Over here, another one. That's straight to the bridge. It joins to the base of Swallow Cliff, and then to the Swallow Cliff lookout. So that'll be it, signing off. Hopefully this gives you a little bit of an idea of how to train, at least initiate training. And might as well get my way back up here again. Changing position, keeping the walking stick close to your feet, again as an accessory. I'm not going to pick, you have to be able to read trail too, because over there was a bunch of scree and leaves, and that's just going to be really slippery, so you don't want an injury. I'll announce at the Ignite Your Life conference how we're going to be doing a shotgun start at the Excursion in August. Ooh. And if you don't make it, I'll post it somewhere. But I'm going to hit Swallow Cliff at least once a month. Get more intense as we go closer to August. So see you at the next video.